Yeah, recognizing the scene, but watch ya. It's Jamil. I wanna jam it with you.
Millennials have become a hot topic in the marketplace. Companies right now are scrambling to get a handle on this new hotshot generation. So much so, big corporations like Oracle and LinkedIn are willing to pay consultants anywhere who charge $20,000 to $30,000 to teach them the Jedi way of the millennial. A millennial is anybody born between the ages of 1980 to 2000s. We're the largest generation in history and will make the most impact on any other generation in the history of the world. Now, there's two sides to the spectrum. One side says we're the most narcissistic, laziest, selfish, entitled, good for nothing, the boomerang group, and it goes on and on and on and on. However, I like to argue millennials actually are very driven. We're the most educated generation in history. We know how to think outside the box, and we recognize that we're not subjected by what our parents say we can be or what our teachers say we can be, but we're ready and willing to become whoever we want to become. So today, we're going to go out and actually ask millennials right from the horse's mouth on who they think they are, what their values are, and how they expect to change the world. How do you describe this generation, and do you feel the media is properly representing us?
Two-part question. So how do I describe millennials? Millennials are very different in the sense of they remind me of more educated hippies of the 70s, if that makes sense. They're very much into libertarianism, transparency, and they may even be not necessarily into those things, but at least they want to know what they're being into. They don't want to just take an assumption. And part two is how we portrayed in the media. It's hard to say because I say we're excellently portrayed in alternative media. So the new form of media being like YouTube, social media platforms like Twitter, we're heard very well. But mainstream media is not owned by our age demographic and is not very influenced. So mainstream media like television, not so much influence, but in alternative media, which is starting to dominate the market, very influential.
Millennials today are presented as maybe a bit lazier than our parents. We take a lot of the blame for the situations that we're in. I think we have a lot more debt than our parents, and that's not really taken into consideration by the way that we're portrayed in media. So we have to work so much harder. Inflation is rising crazy. We pay so much tuition fees and go into more debt. So for instance, like my school debt, like I have a degree. I'm fortunate to have a job even, but I'm still paying back my degree, which kind of slows down what else I could do in life. So I'm not going to buy a house this year because, you know, I want to pay that first. So I think people don't really take all that into consideration. It's just like the surface. Because we also the generation that has a lot of fun too. So people, you know, they look at that first and they think that that's what we're all about. But we're very multifaceted, and I think it's a great thing.
I would say that we millennials are very independent people, right? We have exposure to knowledge, we study, we try to figure out as much as we want. We believe in ourselves, we are ready to take challenges to understand what is outside of the box, right? And sometimes, maybe because of our this too much passionate character, media doesn't understand it really well. They think that we are arrogant, that we are narcissistic, but it's from my perspective, it's not true. We are curious. We want to know more. We want to act, and we want to make a difference.
My next question goes to your values, and saying the work that you've done in the past, do you feel that your values are properly being represented by the organization you work for?
Yeah, well, I believe in the new day and age, right? It's aligning yourself with brands and programs or creating your own, whichever you prefer to do, that fit the right cause. So at different stages in life, we all go through experiences, and it's constant learning throughout life. But now I'm being more selective about aligning myself up with brands and companies of that nature. So is anything perfect? I don't think there's such thing as perfection, but I believe that now, yes, I'm blessed to live in a place where we have so much freedom to make choices and so much options to represent different products, services, or create our own.
what do you do in your company that you work at right now to make sure these values are known? And do you feel that your boss is actively doing enough to support you?
It's kind of tricky question because I'm, in the middle of maybe changing my work right now. Because I understand that work is work, and at work we need to do what we have to do, right? So after that, I understood that it's my obligation to find people who will have the same values that are in my head and who I can share and go towards achieving it.
So essentially you're saying that if the company you work at doesn't properly represent that your values, you have no issues leaving to find better opportunities elsewhere.
Exactly.
In terms of making a difference, what is the one key thing that you feel that you want to do to make a difference in the community? What challenges do you think millennials face in terms of making that difference?
I think just having a greater voice and owning our power, because there are a lot of issues going on in the world today. There's a lot of racism, specifically anti-black racism, and I think that a lot of people deny experiences that are faced because they're not experiencing it. People have privileges that they think are just, they don't think about it because they have it, right? So I think we do have power, and we need to just hone in on what our power is and understand that it is of great value. Just basically having a voice and saying something, because education, changes a lot. When you're aware of something, then you know how to behave, you know how to act better, you know how to treat people better, and it makes a difference. So I think, just...
So we've talked about millennials, and we found out right from the horse's mouth exactly who they say they are, what their values are, and some of the dreams and ambitions that they have for the future. A future full of endless possibilities, where the only borders that we're subjected by are the ones we choose to impose on our minds. Now, we millennials understand better than any other generation in history that we can truly be whoever we wish to become. In the past, businesses sought out to predict the future. But now, we millennials have the capability, the technology, and most importantly, the will to create the future.